Okay, and we're back. Now for step 3. You're ready to pre-shape the dough. You first stretch the dough lengthwise and then widthwise. Followed by folding one end into the center, and then you tuck at a corner, fold it into the center, tug at the opposing corner, fold it into the center, and then you keep doing this until you reach the other end of the dough lengthwise. And now you tuck the distal end, fold it into the center, and now you roll the dough for the length of the rectangle. And when you do that, be sure to introduce as much tension as possible, because that's what's going to improve the mouthfeel and texture of the resulting bread. And now you want to introduce even more tension by repeatedly scooping underneath the dough. So you are pushing more and more of the dough underneath. You keep doing this until you think you've reached a sufficient level of tension. And now you flip the dough over until it's seam side up. Pick the dough up and put it gently into the wicker basket. Before you do that, make sure your wicker basket is covered in flour, because the last thing you want is for the dough to stick to the wicker basket or the cloth draped over it, and that will ruin the aesthetics of the dough you've worked so hard to shape. So be generous with the flour. Okay, so now your dough is ready for rest. You want to just drape a cloth over it so you retain some of the moisture through the night, and then put it in the fridge and forget about it until the following morning. We'll see you then. We are at the home stretch, my friends. So let's start with preheating the oven with the Dutch oven inside at 500 degrees Fahrenheit. You want to take the wicker basket with the dough inside out of your fridge, and then take out your dough. It should have expanded by a little bit, but not much. So before you put the dough into the Dutch oven, you want to score the dough first. The reason for scoring the dough is to control where the dough cracks open. Because if you don't score it, then the dough is going to crack open wherever the integrity is at the weakest. And that's something you cannot control unless you deliberately introduce weakness into the structure of the dough. Take your Dutch oven out, remove the lid, and pop the dough into the Dutch oven. When you put the dough into the oven, you want to make sure that the dough is seam side down. And quickly close the lid so you don't lose the temperature inside. And now put the Dutch oven back into the oven and turn down the temperature from 500 degrees Fahrenheit to about 460, 470 degrees Fahrenheit, and leave it alone for 20 minutes. Twenty minutes later, open up the oven and take the lid off the Dutch oven and let the bread bake for another 20 minutes. So now the bread should have risen substantially, 2 or 3 times its original height. So take the Dutch oven out of the oven and leave the bread and let the bread cool for half an hour to an hour. You don't want to cut into the bread while it's hot. So after the bread has cooled, cut the bread open, and if you see open crumb inside, a lot of holes, that means you have done a good job. Well, that is all, folks. I hope you have enjoyed this presentation and learned something. And I hope you get to make your own sourdough bread. And if you have any success or any questions, leave a comment below. Thank you very much, and see you next time.